Hi, this is Ryan from Acid Rain Technology, and I'd like to introduce firmware version 1.1 for the Maestro. We made a few key changes and updates to improve Maestro's usability without compromising any of the functionality of the original firmware. Updating Maestro's firmware is quite simple. All you have to do is remove the microSD card from Maestro with your case powered off, and really you can use almost any microSD card with Maestro. And then head to our website, and on the Maestro page there is a download link for the firmware file. This will be a zip file called Maestro_1.1. You're going to want to download and unzip this file on your computer, and inside the unzipped folder there will be a file called fw.bin. You then drag this fw.bin file onto the microSD card you took out of the Maestro, then safely eject the microSD card and reinsert it into your Maestro. When you power on your case, the Maestro firmware update animation will start playing. After the animation is done playing, your Maestro is updated and ready to use. The first new feature in firmware version 1.1 is the ability for you to change the pulses per quarter note, or PPQN, of Maestro's clock. To do that, you enter the clock menu, and you'll utilize the timing buttons and the timing modifier buttons to adjust the pulses per quarter note setting. Here's a table that shows the timing button combinations and the PPQN settings they correspond to. On the oscilloscope here in the lower left corner, we're seeing Maestro's internal clock output at different PPQN settings as I change them, from very, very fast to some very, very slow. The pulses per quarter note setting is saved to Maestro's microSD card almost immediately after you change it, and it will persist through power cycles and doesn't change when you save and load channel data in the save and load menus. We have also rebuilt the clock engine in Maestro to make it so that there's no more minimum BPN for external clocking. Drastic changes in external clock tempo may cause the Maestro to pause a bit between external clock pulses as it locks onto the new clock speed. But higher pulse per quarter note settings help a lot with this external clock calculation and will make the Maestro tightly follow another module like a sequencer that can output higher PPQN clocks. I often clock Maestro with my NerdSeek sequencer, and I like to use a 24 pulses per quarter note clock. As you can see here, Maestro starts and stops very quickly with the NerdSeek. The next big feature we've added in firmware 1.1 is the internal output attenuation menu. To access this menu, you press the high and mute buttons at the same time. Here you can select which channel you want to adjust the output attenuation settings for. The timing button labels correspond to the fraction of the normal output voltage range. So a half is 50% of the voltage range, a quarter is 25%, and so on. On the oscilloscope in the upper right-hand corner, we're seeing the attenuated output of channel 1 as I change the settings. Channel 2 is bipolar, and the settings work the same. We find the very heavy attenuation of the 1/16th and 1/32nd settings to be really useful on very sensitive inputs like pitch inputs. What makes internal attenuation settings really fun is that they save and load with channel settings, so you can use them creatively to bring in different amplitude versions of the same modulation instantly on load, like this. The last small update for firmware 1.1 is that in the Save and Load menus, the clock button is now selectable. And this lets you save and load the internal clock tempo with your save and load data. This option is deselected by default, but if you select it, the internal clock settings will save and load with your channel settings. On behalf of Michael and myself, I want to give a huge thank you to all of you who've picked up a Maestro so far. Your support of our crazy little modulation idea here means the world to us, and we really can't wait to see what you do with this new firmware update. We are always listening to the community for new firmware update ideas. In fact, internal output attenuation was something that came from some conversations with some of you. So please feel free to reach out to us on the forums, Discord, or email us at acidraintech@gmail.com, and we would love to hear your ideas and how you're using the Maestro in your patching. Thanks for watching.